Somewhere in a swamp right now, a plant is digesting an animal alive. Not a Venus flytrap snapping shut in a movie. Something slower. Something with acid. What if I told you plants have been eating meat for over 70 million years, long before the first human ever picked up a spear? Welcome back to Bioverse Explained, where we make biology feel like a thriller. Today we're diving into every major type of carnivorous plant on Earth, and exactly how each one turns insects into dinner. By the end of this video, you'll know how 5 completely different killing methods evolved in plants. You'll understand the actual chemistry that dissolves a living insect's body. And you'll learn why scientists are now studying these plants to fight human disease. Carnivorous plants grow on every continent except Antarctica. Most live in nutrient-starved soil, swamps, bogs, and sandy wetlands where nitrogen is almost non-existent. Picture soil so poor that a regular plant would starve within weeks. That's home for these species. There are over 800 known carnivorous plant species on Earth today. Some are smaller than your fingernail. Others, like certain pitcher plants in Borneo, can hold over 2 liters of digestive fluid inside a single trap. That's enough to drown a rat. And yes, that has actually happened. Here's the myth most people believe, that carnivorous plants eat meat because they're aggressive or unusually advanced. The truth is the opposite. They evolved this trait out of desperation. Their soil has almost no nitrogen or phosphorus, the nutrients every plant needs to survive. So instead of pulling nutrients from dirt, they started pulling them from prey. That's not aggression. That's pure evolutionary survival under pressure, and it's far more fascinating than any myth. Now let's break down exactly how the killing works, because every species does it differently. Start with the Venus flytrap. Its leaves contain tiny trigger hairs, usually 3 per lobe. An insect has to touch 2 hairs within 20 seconds, or hit 1 hair twice. This isn't random. It's a built-in counting system that stops the trap from wasting energy on raindrops or debris. Once triggered, the trap snaps shut in under half a second, one of the fastest movements in the entire plant kingdom. Researchers at the University of Würzburg in Germany discovered the trap actually generates a tiny electrical signal, almost identical to a nerve impulse in animals, to coordinate that closure. A plant, using something close to a nervous system. Now compare that to the pitcher plant. It doesn't move at all. Instead, it builds a deep, slippery tube filled with digestive fluid. Insects are lured in by nectar and bright coloring, then lose their footing on a waxy inner wall that acts like a frictionless slide. They fall into the fluid below and can't climb back out. Some pitcher plant fluid is so viscous it behaves almost like sticky glue, trapping wings and legs mid-struggle. Then there's the Sundew, which hunts with glue instead of jaws. Its leaves are covered in sticky tentacle-like hairs that secrete a sugary, adhesive liquid. An insect lands, gets stuck, and the surrounding tentacles slowly curl inward over several minutes, pressing the prey into more digestive glue. And then there's the bladderwort, possibly the fastest predator in the entire plant kingdom. It creates a vacuum-sealed underwater trap that can suck in prey in under 1 millisecond. 1 millisecond. That's faster than the blink of a human eye, faster than a cheetah's strike, faster than almost anything else alive on this planet. Once any of these traps close around prey, the real chemistry begins. The plant releases digestive enzymes, similar to the ones in your own stomach, including proteases that break down proteins and chitinases that dissolve the hard exoskeleton of insects. Over several days, the insect is essentially liquefied from the outside in, and the plant absorbs the nutrients directly through its leaf surface. Here's the single most shareable fact in this entire video. In 2021, researchers studying a species of pitcher plant in the Philippines discovered something extraordinary. Some of these plants don't primarily eat insects at all. They've evolved to catch the droppings of tree shrews and bats that use the pitcher as a toilet, essentially trading shelter and nectar for a steady supply of nitrogen-rich waste. A plant that built a bathroom to survive. Tell that to someone today and watch their face. Beyond the shock value, this research matters for real science. Scientists are now studying the enzymes inside pitcher plant fluid because some of them show strong antimicrobial properties, meaning they could help us develop new treatments resistant to drug-resistant bacteria. Other researchers are studying the Venus flytrap's electrical signaling to better understand bioelectricity, which has applications in soft robotics and even early-stage prosthetic design. A swamp plant from 100 million years ago might help engineer the technology of tomorrow. But here's the twist that almost nobody talks about, the one that should completely change how you see these plants. We call them carnivorous, but technically, most of them are omnivorous. Pollen, rainwater debris, and even fallen leaves get absorbed and digested by several of these species when insects are scarce. Some pitcher plants have been documented surviving almost entirely on decomposing organic matter during certain seasons, switching their entire feeding strategy based on what's available, the same way a wild animal would adapt its diet to its environment. That means these aren't simple, passive plants quietly waiting for a bug to wander by. They are active, adaptive predators making real-time survival decisions, just on a timescale so slow we rarely notice it happening. Think about that for a second. While you're watching this video in real time, somewhere in a bog, a sundew is in the middle of a decision-making process that started hours ago and won't finish for another day. It is hunting right now, in slow motion, completely undetected. The line we draw between plant and animal, passive and active, simple and intelligent, is far blurrier than biology textbooks ever taught us. These organisms blur that line every single day, and almost nobody is watching closely enough to notice. So here's what we covered today. Carnivorous plants didn't evolve to eat meat out of aggression, but out of nutrient starvation in brutal environments. Each species, from the flytrap's electrical trigger to the bladderwort's millisecond vacuum, evolved a completely different killing method to solve the same survival problem. And these plants are now inspiring real medical and engineering research, from antimicrobial enzymes to bioelectric signaling. Here's a question for the comments. If a plant can sense touch, count triggers, and adapt its diet like an animal, where do you think the real line between plant and animal actually is? I want to read your answers below. If this kind of science thriller storytelling is something you want more of, the like button genuinely helps this channel grow, and subscribing means you won't miss what's coming next. Because next time, we're going underwater, into a forest that technically isn't a forest at all, and you will never look at the ocean floor the same way again.